Good morning. Welcome to God Focus this morning. Today's episode is titled Shining a Light. The world is in darkness. Moral decay is on the rise. The only answer is Jesus. We are called to be a light. It is our duty to show others the way to Jesus. Light and darkness cannot exist in the same place. Light will drive out the darkness. However, if we're hiding our light, it will seem smaller and smaller, and the darkness will press in from all sides. The word shining means to give out or reflect a bright light. We are to give out the light that God has given us. We need to reflect the God inside of us. John 8:12 says, Then spake Jesus again to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Focus on that phrase for a moment, the light of life. Our life will have light once we have accepted Jesus and decide to follow him. It comes into us when we receive Jesus into our hearts. We are then called to share this light we have with others. It is the only way they will be able to see their way through the darkness of this world. It is the job of the enemy to keep people blinded by sin and temptations. It is only in the darkness of sin that Satan can keep us bound. But the darkness cannot hold us when the light of God's love is shared. Sometimes it takes a little time for people to see, but love wins every time. We just have to see our way through and keep consistently shining our lights and never give up. Hold on to faith that one day they will see. Have you ever been in a room when the electric has gone off and it's pitch black? A simple match will light up the corner where it is found. Many matches together will light an entire room. As we show more people the truth of God's love, they will accept Christ and receive their own light, the light of life. The more light we shine into the darkness, the less threatening it becomes. Have you ever stood on a hilltop and looked down on a city below? It is not one large light. Its beauty comes from many small lights together. Being a Christian means that we share our light and combine it with others to encourage them to do the same. Without the darkness, how would we recognize the light? Or we could reverse that statement. Without our light, how could others see that they are in darkness? Just as our eyes adjust to the amount of light there is out there, sinners adjust to the darkness. They are so used to stumbling around in the dark, they don't realize there is a better way. I used to pray for God to make me a big bright light. In my mind, a big bright light was better. My heart was in the right place, and I figured a big bright light would reach more people. Like a lighthouse beacon. One day I was praying and I said, Lord, make me a big bright light. And God said, why? A big light is blinding. Then I got it. Too much light and it's a reflex to close your eyes against the brightness. A little light will help you see. So it's better to let our light shine in many small ways every day instead of doing one great big thing. We need to spend alone time with God, and he will fill our hearts with his love daily. Then we can take that love and light our world. It really all boils down to a relationship with him. We need to be authentic. The world will see through fake Christianity. That is why it's so important to walk in integrity and do the right thing, even when no one is watching. We will never be a good light unless we can focus our life on walking with integrity. God doesn't tell us to share our light just to have something to do. Being a Christian is not about a list of rules. God tells us to avoid things for our own good, not because he doesn't want us to enjoy our life. He wants us to have an abundant life. I think about a dream I had a few years ago. I was on this platform off to one side, and there was people, probably maybe 50 people or so, standing in a line beside of me on each side. Jesus was closer to the front of this platform. I could see him from the shoulders down. And he had his arms loaded down with bread. You know, big long rolls of Italian bread, little round rolls. I mean, any kind of bread you can imagine. His arms were loaded down so full that I don't think he could have held one more loaf. And out in front of me, as far as I could see, there was people. I mean, all nationalities, shapes, sizes, colors, bald, long hair, short hair, I mean, young, old, everywhere. And he said to me, the people are hungry. It was up to me to give them the bread that was in Jesus' arms. It is up to you to give them the bread that's in Jesus' arms. As Christians, it is our responsibility to find those starving for the light of the gospel. There are so many people that are starving for the word. They're starving for a fresh start. They are depressed and starving for anything that can give them some peace. They are burned out and tired of life as it is, and they need a turnaround. It is my prayer we reach them before it's too late. There was this guy who worked at a convenience store. He was a new Christian and was trying to be a light. So certain customers, he would say, "God bless you," as he gave them their change. And one day there was a guy who came through his line, and instead of the usual comment, he felt like telling him that God loved him. The customer left and the clerk finished his shift, not giving it another thought. 2 weeks later, the customer returned and asked the guy if he remembered him. The clerk apologized and said that he didn't remember who he was. And the customer said, "I have something I need to tell you." Then the guy said, "I don't know if you remember or not, but the other day you told me that God loves me. What you didn't know was I was on my way home to commit suicide that evening. I had already made my plans. I had my note written. It was all a done deal except for pulling the trigger. But when you told me that God loved me, I got to thinking about it and I decided to wait a couple of weeks. I started researching about God, and because of you, I was around long enough to find someone who could lead me to Christ. I am a Christian because of you." You never know how a little thing can be magnified by God and reach someone else before it's too late. God values courage and asks us to be brave. I'm going to leave you with that thought. Until next time. Thanks for spending a little time with me. I encourage you to go out and let your light shine into the darkness. Check out my blog at www.godfocus.net. Until next time, be bold, be brave, and keep your God focus. Like, share, and subscribe for more encouragement. Have a good day.